So let's go over to this page and talk a little bit about the tools, continue talking about the tools and the inking with those tools, and some of the really simple basics in that. So in this comic called Lost Survivor, I am doing most of the organics in brush, like organics meaning the people and their clothing, and some of the technology that's on them, but I'm trying to do the backgrounds and the technology and the robots and the ships all in these tech pens and kind of mix up the look a little bit. So again, starting with a Sable Series 7 brush. It's kind of a technique that I didn't even think about when I started trying to teach myself how to ink. Again, not a lot of resources for people to say, okay, how do I start brush inking? Well, you see all these tutorials of people just inking panels in fast, high speed time lapses, and that's about it. Or they might talk, oh, look at this, I'm doing, this really cool superhero. Well, they're not talking about the super basics. Like, you see them doing this stuff, but why are they doing it? So, glove, why are they using it? Water, when are they using it? How often are they using it? Are they just dipping straight into the ink? This is something I saw a lot of artists doing, and I could never figure out why they were doing it. And I've done several interviews and talked to a few people as to why they were doing it. Never really understood it until one artist in particular showed me. So they've always got this sheet of paper with all these silly lines right beside the art they're working on. And so I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing there? What is the technique that you're doing? So he's taking the brush, loading it with some water, loading it with some ink. And again, you're loading it with water a little bit just to thin out the ink and make the ink flow a little better. And then he would do this. And I've heard people say they're getting an end on their brush or something to that effect. And I was like, I don't get it. What are you doing? And they're spinning the brush as they're applying this excess ink to this page. Part of it, I get it. You've got a lot of ink on your brush. You don't want to, blop it all over your page. But they're spinning it, and that refines the end and all the little bristles down to a nice point. So the reason why I understood that even further, what the point of doing this is that in one case, he flattened it. He would flatten his brush out like that, and after he'd get this kind of super flat look like this, you'd end up with this ability to do cool little dry brush techniques like this. So you can adjust the actual tip of your brush by how you prep it before applying your lines. And we'll start tickling out some line work. And in my style, I'm pretty loose with laying down lines and sort of a scratchy style. So one inker that I was interviewing named Ryan Brown, very early on, I was just understanding what inking was. At the time, I thought, inking, oh, you're just tracing over, other people's work, aren't you? That's about it. And not at all. Not at all it. And matter of fact, it was not until a lot longer after that I really got in to the idea of inking and going, oh, you know what, this is really cool, especially if you're kind of inking some of your own work. It's a fun thing to do, especially with a brush. I'm not super great at it yet, but I do like it. Right away, even just with basic lines, you can start kind of giving the drawing some 3D and dimension by suggesting that certain areas are farther away from the light than others, not just through hatch marks and shading, but also just through the line weight, which you get, obviously, like I said, a lot more potential for line weight variation in a brush than you do out of a pen. And the lines that are further away from a light source are going to be a lot thicker than the ones that are at the top of an object. So you can already kind of start showing some 3D, just in the simple straight lines that you're doing. So I'm just going to switch over the B camera to time-lapse, fill in some of the inks on this page, and then that's pretty much it for the basics episode. And maybe we'll come back again next time and talk a little bit about composition and screen direction. So thanks for watching a guy learning how to draw, and hopefully there's a few little basic techniques that you picked up there. And I'll probably continue talking about little basic techniques as I go, because as I figure them out, and as I, not only things that I'm figuring out organically on my own, but also as I interview different artists for the documentaries that we're producing that focus on comic books and comic book art, I will continue picking things up along the way, and as I borrow those techniques from my own art, I will share them here.
You've been a little